Tonight's Zera Shimshon Shiur is for Refuah Shalema for Tzvi ben Leah Miriam. He should be gesund. The schus of Rabbi Simcha Bunim Berger ben Menachem Michal. Schus Yogan Aleinu Alov Al Kolamai Bais Yisrael. Also want to welcome Torah Anytime that's now broadcasting this shiur and Yashakar for all the good work that they do to spread Torah to Gans Klal Yisrael. Tonight we're going to do
The second sponsor, two sponsors.
Another sponsor in the schus of this shiur. Thank you for putting the time to prepare to give a shiur. I look forward to it every week. And for the safety of Eretz Yisrael, the Chayalim, and Gans Klal Yisrael. Tonight, Marav Rabbeisa, we're going to go back to Parshas Emor and do a special shiur on Rosh Hashanah and Kedushas Yisrael. Emor on page Kuf Chof, letter Ches. Kuf Ches, excuse me. Kuf Ches, letter Ches. 108. And this is a shiur for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah shiur from the Zera Shimshon. Back in Parshas Emor, the Torah Kedosha talks about all the Moyadim. So it's in this parsha that the Zera Shimshon devotes the time to go through all the Yomim Tovim. Mesechtes Rosh Hashanah Perek Daled. Page Kuf Ches. 108. 108. B'Mesechtes Rosh Hashanah Dav Daled Amru Melachei Ashareis Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Rebbeinu Shel Olam Mipnei Ma Ein Oimrim Lefanecha Yisrael Shira B'Rosh Hashanah B'Yom HaKippurim. This is doch a Yom Tiv. Tiskil Mitzvahs. This is a Yom Tiv. It's one of the Moyadim. If a Moyad Zok Min Hallel, you say Hallel. Klal Yisrael Zok Nish Ken Shira. We're not saying Shira. Why not? Why not? The Malachim are asking. Omar Lahem, steht in the Gemara says, Omar Lahem, Efsher Melech Yoshev Akisei Din. V'sifrei Chayim, v'sifrei Mesim, Psuchim Lefonav, Yisrael Oimrim Shira. Sifrei Chaim v'Sifrei Mesim, it's Yomim Noiraim. It's Yomim Noiraim, and I can't expect them. Meken von seinish foderen. You can't expect them to say Shira for such a tog. They can't be expected to say they're potter from saying. Mizuknish ken Shira. They don't say Shira. Kuli alma makshim. Zog the Zera Shimshon. The ganze Welt fragt. Kuli alma makshim, machpat lehu lemalachim bezeh. You know what they say in Ivrit? Machpat lecha. Machpat lehu lemalachim. Vus geit ze und malachim. What do they care? Vus is an afkamina. Klal Yisrael does say Shira. Klal Yisrael doesn't say Shira. Vus epis. Se geit ze un in Leben. They care so much. V'tiritz balein Yankev lefi de isa bechulin dav tzamach aleph. The Gemara says in Chulin, Shemalachei Ashores ein oimrim shira lemala ad sheyoimru Yisrael lemato. Malachim who want to say shira, are supposed to say shira, don't say shira until Klal Yisrael says here down below. Ve'im kain shoylam atam lo men Yisrael loimim. Why isn't Yisrael not saying shezeh goyim shegam heim einam yecholim loimar? That causes them also that they can't say. So really, says the Zera Shimshon, that the pshat in the Gemara's kasha of the malachim is very understandable. It's a very zayir verstandlich. It's very understandable because they're not asking about Klal Yisrael per se. They're really asking about themselves. We can't say Shira because we're waiting for them. We'll go first. And if you're not going to go first, so we can't do our job. So yes, they're asking about Klal Yisrael, but they're asking about Zichalein. They want to know. Malachim say, we cannot say Shira.
Why do we have to wait for them?
Why do who's have to wait
Why
for?
do we have to wait for them? What's the connection?
Yaakov said I had to go because it's time they're going to sing.
The Malach said I have to go. And Yaakov didn't let him. Fakert. The Malach is waiting for us. Today's shiur is devoted. bout. Okay, today's shiur is devoted to understanding the gadlus of Klal Yisrael. Today's shiur, if you want to understand Rosh Hashanah, why the stakes are so high, why things are so important on Rosh Hashanah, it's important, it's critical to understand who we as Yidden are and how we affect the ganze Welt, ad kedei kach, even the Malachim. That's going to be the subject of today's shiur. We're going to see a little bit Nefesh HaChaim, the Zera Shimshon, Abisal Rambam. We'll see also a shtickle of Mishnah Berurah on the inyan of saying a Kedusha. Kol Zeh, all that has to do with tonight's Zera Shimshon Shiur. Islam again weiter. So again, where are we up to, my Rabbi Isai? The sugya is Klal Yisrael's not saying Shira on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. The Malachim are asking why they're not saying. The Zera Shimshon says, why are they not saying? The Mepharshim want to know, why does the Malachim care? The answer is because they can't say. Who's they? The Malachim can't say. Ein hein oimim shirat Klal Yisrael oimim. That's the reason, like the Gemara says. But listen to this. Avol Kosho, Taisvis and Eirichin writes, Avol loy ka'amar kosvu Taisvis mipnei ma ein oimrim shira lefanecha. Taisvis wants to make a diuk. It says, why is Klal Yisrael not saying? Which they didn't say, why are we not saying? Why not? Mashma shemalachei hashoyris sharis oimrim shira after Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Lamaisa they do say. Umekan hoya ri oimer ri. One of the Baalei Taisvis said, she'ein ledaleg, in the piyutim of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, there's a piyut that says, V'chayas yeshayreru, v'kruvim yifa'eru. The chayas sing and the kruvim are mefor, exalt the name of Hashem. Some people said take it out, because if Klal Yisrael is not saying Shira, the Malachim are also not saying Shira. Zok Taisvis, that's not accurate. The Klal Yisrael is not saying Shira, but the Malachim are. And the diak of Taisvis is because the Malachim don't say Mipnei ma ein anu oimim Shira, Mipnei ma ein Yisrael oimim Shira. Mashma says Taisvis that Malachim do say. And what, therefore, when it comes to the piyutim, you talk about on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur that there's Daka saying that they are saying Shira. But the shaila is, and now comes the Zera Shimshon, Ela shebemes koshal Taisvis l'chayra ha'idechulin shem alach hashoros amim shirat shiyayim Yisrael. And this is, up until now, the Zera Shimshon was giving the introduction, setting the table, so he can ask his question. Taisvis is of the position that the Malachim are saying Shira. Lamaisa, that's why you can talk about them saying Shira in your piyutim on Rosh Hashanah, but yet doesn't the Gemara say that they don't say until Klal Yisrael? So if we're not saying, how can they say? That's his kasha. V'yesh loimer, zok tehelig Zera Shimshon. The Isa b'medrash, al pasik v'kara zel zeh. We say it every day. Viful mol zokmanish. Every single time we say kedusha, v'kara zel zeh v'amar. Why are they talking to each other? Shemalachim noihagim koved zel zeh. Hakoton oimer legodol haschel. The smaller one tells the bigger one, say. V'zehu, and that's what it means, mekablin dain medain, kiloimar. Misha oimer hashira, mekabel hazmana mechaveiroi. Ki'ilu, there's a certain shalom and shlemus in Himmel, in heaven, where each one is giving and asking permission, giving covet for the one above them. V'sham b'chulin isya chavivin yisrael lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu yoiser memalachei hashoris. She Yisrael maskirin es Hashem lachar shtei tevos. We can say Shema Yisrael Hashem we're 2 steps away. Because they say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh 3 times and then Hashem. And they can't say Shira upstairs until you say downstairs. The mashma vaday shatam she malach hashoris oimem Shira ad shem yisom apnei shisol gedolim me malach hashoris umalach hashoris mechabdim oisim shem tchilo. And Klal Yisrael has a maila that's bigger, and therefore mechabed us to say first. So, meaning to say, a malach, just like the malachim won't say before one who's bigger, they won't say because they chap that there's something in Klal Yisrael that's bigger than them, and therefore they're waiting for us. So they're asking us rishus. Okay? As long as Klal Yisrael and malachim are saying, then we can all say that they're waiting for us. If they don't say Shira on that day, they can then say Shira. If Klal Yisrael is not saying, so they don't have to wait for us. So Mela says, the Zera Shimshon, what seems to be a very pashut and straightforward teretz, which is, when does the Gemara say that the Malachi Hasharis will not say Shira unless Klal Yisrael says Shira? Is when Klal Yisrael will taka say Shira. When we have the opportunity to say Shira, Memela, then they'll also say Shira, and not only that, they'll wait for us. But if they see that we're not saying, so they have no inyan of giving covet, so therefore Taisva says they can say. Therefore, V'kisharoim Yisrael ein oimim oiseh shoylim tam la'kodesh baruch hu. When they hear that Klal Yisrael cannot say, so because for Klal Yisrael is in Yomim Naraim, so they go ahead and say Shira. So let's summarize for a minute and then let's go a little bit deeper. What did the Zera Shimshon teach us? Zera Shimshon had asked a question. Parshas, Malachim cannot say Shira until Klal Yisrael says Shira. They're waiting for us. But Taisvis says, and that's what it says in the Gemara in Chulin. But yet, that's what the Gemara says in Chulin. Yet Taisvis says that on Yom Kippur they do say. On Rosh Hashanah they do say. But I thought they're supposed to wait for us. Zog the Zera Shimshon, their waiting is an inyan of kavod. Their waiting is when you're going to say, you say first. But if there's no kavod, because we're not saying, then bavakasha, then malachim are going to say. What is this sugya? What is this? It sounds like words. Malachim is an aggressor from men. A man is bigger than a malach? What's the pshat in something like that? What's meintas? You want to say something, Mayor? The nefesh.
They're robots. We have a choice.
The nefesh achayim over here. The nefesh achayim. I'm going to share with you the nefesh achayim. I'm also going to share with you the inyan of kedusha. You know what? We'll start with the kedusha first. No, I definitely can chumash baruch Hashem. When a person says kedusha, Chazal say that there's an amount of kedusha that we have if we would only understand how heilig kedusha is and how much we do. When we figure out what we can accomplish, our kedusha will never be the same. I'm not going to read from you some Zayir HaKudosh from Abadishas. I'm going to read for you a little Mishnah Berurah. But be a piece of Mishnah Berurah that maybe, and probably a lot of people read Mishnah Berurah, but they forgot this one. Listen to this. It says, in Perek Kuf Chav Hey, Dini Kedusha, Toiv lechaven raglav b'shas she'omer Kedusha im shliach tzibur. When you say Kedusha, put your feet together. Lechaven raglav, you should have your feet together. A person daven Shemona Esrei, a shliach tzibur, a person says Kedusha. As best as you can, you put your feet together. What's the inyan? K'may shama b'simen tzadik hey, tzarech lechaven b'yoyser b'kedusha l'kadosh Shem Hashem. A person has to have the kavanah, put his feet together like a malach, like an angel, which means that not only are we connected to the angels, to the malachim, we're supposed to try to resemble a malach, which means that there's no split. Interesting that the 2 feet of a person, when they're separate, represents a split personality. When there's biyachad, he's in a madreg of a malach. Oh, balt. Lechavenes raglov. V'liesh lisa es einayim lemoran. And you should look up to Shamayim. Look up. Normally when you daven, you're not supposed to look up. In Hilchas Tefillah, the halacha is you have to look down. But when you say Kedusha, look up. Why? Listen to what he says. Ubeschus zeh, first by putting your foot together, Yashra Olav Hashem Yisbarach Kedusha milamala. A person will have Kedusha from lamala to him. V'yechaven l'kaim ha'posek v'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. I shall become Kadosh, says Rabbeinu Shalom, through Klal Yisrael. V'yesh lisa ki kasu b'shem sefer heileichos. Bruchim atem l'Hashem shamayim v'yordei merkava. Im toimu v'tagida lebonai. If you will tell my children, ma sha'ani oisa b'sho'o shemagdishim v'oimer kadosh kadosh kadosh. Tell my kinderlach, tell Klal Yisrael what I do, says the Rabbeinu Shalom, when you say kadosh kadosh kadosh. I'll tell you what I do. V'lamdu oisam she'eneim nesois lamarm lebeis tfilosam v'noisim atzmam lamala. They should look up to Shamayim and pick themselves up a little bit. Noisim is atzmam. Ki einli ano'o be'olam. I have no greater pleasure in the world. Ki oisoi sho she'einayim nesuos be'einai ve'einai be'einayhem. When I'm looking in their eyes and they're looking in my eyes. Ba'oisai shah, when I'm saying, when they're saying Kadosh, and we're looking at each other in the eyes, ani oiches bekisei kvoidi bedvus Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu's face is on the kisei kavod. When I hear and I'm looking eye to Klal Yisrael, I grab the tzura of Yaakov Avinu and I hug him. Umechabka umenashka. Yaakov Avinu gets a kush. He gets a kiss. Umazkir zchusam umemaher geulosam. It makes me want to bring the geula. For anybody, whoever has the guts to look somebody in the eyes and to tell them that I love you, that's not an easy thing to do. That's what happens by Kedusha. That's the helikite of Kedusha, Rabbi say. That's what happens when you say Kedusha. You're looking up into the eyes of Hashem, and Hashem Yisbarach is looking down to you. And at that point in time, this is me'oyer ahava to Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is the amud of Kedusha. Avram, Mogen Avram. Yitzchak is Mechaye Mesim. Ata Kodesh is the brach of Yaakov Avinu. Let's talk about this. Somebody mentioned Yaakov and the Malach, right? Let's talk about what the madreg of Klal Yisrael is. The madreg of Klal Yisrael, Oberlam is a gut verstehen. Let's really understand it. The Nefesh HaChaim of Chaim Volozhiner, Talmud of the Vilna Gaon, writes in Shar Aleph, Perik Yud. He says there's a great debate amongst the Rishonim, Rambam and Moreh Nevuchim, Ramban, Ibn Ezra. Who is bigger, Malach or a human? Zokter Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim. Each one is right. There's something about a Malach, of course, that's bigger, and there's something about a Yid that's bigger. And he says like this, the Heilige Werter, Ki vadai malach godom ha'adam hein be'etzem al-husay. The malach is bigger in his essence. Begoidel kedushosay v'neflois hasagosay ein erech v'dimyan be'einenu greineim klal. There's no connection whatsoever. What a malach knows, what a malach understands, so what we have is gurnish. There's no comparison. It's a whole different level. As it says, hasogas hamalachim hi hasoga gedoyla mashe ein ken lamata mehem. Below them, and below them, hasoga shniya v'shloga shlishis, everything is much lower. V'amalachim kroivim mekablim koya v'shefa maspaklarya shel ma'ala tchila. They get their koyach from above, directly, kaviyachol, so much closer to Hashem and the Burirus. Kulam ahuvim, kulam bururim. There's no question. Kulam bururim. It's altzis borur, altzis klor. However, omnam bedavar echad yisran oda godol oda mahamalachim. Let me tell you what man has. Vehu halos vaiskashres oilamos. A malach can't fix anything. A malach can only do things. And when he does it like a malach. He does it perfectly. But what's called to be mekasher oilamos, to be malet, to bring kedusha, to bring holiness to a nidrika, to a low place, and to rise up and make the world a better place, that only a human being can do. A malach contains, maintains, but a man fixes. Malach, and listen to the lashon. Adam Yisran Gadol Mahamalachim. V'hu halois v'iskashreis ha'olamais v'akoichais v'oires echad b'chaveiroi. Asher ein ze koyach klal b'shum malach. A malach hotes nisht. He doesn't have it. V'umetamanal ka'amalach hu be'etzem koyach echad prati bilvad. The koyach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him for whatever that malach is his individual koyach. She'ein boy klolius kol ha'olamas yachad. He can't be koilel, include anything. Sha'malach ein rak b'chinachas prota shel oisa olam she'omed boy. Avol nishmas ha'odam b'chol gimel chelkei naran neshama ruach nefesh ruach neshama benaran shelo. Kol kuloi is koilol kol ha'olamais, and that neshama comes all the way down to this world, to the olam ha'maisa. It comes from the hechste Welt to the lowest world. And al yedei zeh, the Adam is mikasher all of these olamais. V'lechein ein koyach b'malach v'yocholis klal lahalois v'lekasher v'leyachad kol olam ba'olam anot al rosheim. No malach can bring anything above or higher. Kivan she'ein koilu meshutav. A malach is in world A, he can't go up to world B. A malach of world B cannot go up to C, and vice versa. But a human being, an Adam, is koilel all of those oilamos. From the hechste Platz, from the place of the Kisei HaKavod, the Tzur of Yaakov Avinu, all the way down to our physical body down over here. Therefore, Raka Adam Levad Hu Hamaylu Mekasher Meyached Kol Ha'olamais Va'oirais Bekoyach Mais of human beings with a good thought, with a good machshava. When a person does a good deed, the kesher that a person is doing, not just for himself, but for every sphere, for every world, for every koyach of kedusha, is being nis'ala through a human being. Raka Adam Levad, machmas shehu kolul mikulam, because he is encapsulated from it all. The oz, when the man brings his maila the world, Oz gam hamalach masik aliyah v'toisefes kedusha al kedushosai. The malach is waiting. Yaakov Avinu, let me go. I can't say kedusha until you let me go. That's the Sulam Mutzav Arza, the Roshei Magia Shamayim, and who is going up and down on that ladder? Malachei Elokim Oilim V'Yordim Boy. It's the Malachim that are going up. That's what the dream said. The Malachim are Oilim V'Yordim Boy. Not in the ladder. Boy in Yaakov Avinu. Because he's Mekasher Kol Oilamos. That's because the Ashebo Koyach Maisa Adam Epnei Shagam Hu Koylu Ba'Adam. The Malach is in a person. V'zehu tam shemalachim makdishim mishmei morim mamtinim. That's why they wait for us. Next paragraph. This is why they're waiting for us. She'onu mishalshim b'kedusha. Af shekedusha som lemayla mekdusha seinu. Even though they're so much higher than we are. Lo shehem cholkim kavod liyisrael. Says the Nefesh HaChaim b'mechilas kvoid Zera Shimshon, they're not giving kavod to Klal Yisrael. Megitam nish kavod. Ze kenen nisht. In English, it means they can't. They can't. You give kavod to someone, I want to do it, but they can't. She'ein bekoicham v'yecholtam klal mitzad atzmam liftoyach pihem lahaktish liyotzram ad aliyas koil kedushas Yisrael aleim lamata. They push it, have to wait. They have to wait for us to do our job so that they can do their job. Ki amiras kedusha hu alois oilamis v'kashrusam. That brings the world up. That's why when you say Kodesh, you pick yourself up because you're literally being Maila the Kedusha. You're literally bringing it up. Zog the Nefesh HaChaim. Now, if you understand that even the angels can't say Kedusha until we say Kedusha. So you understand what it says that the Rebbeinu Shalom says, and who's responsible for this? Who was the one who was koilel kol hakoiches? That was Yaakov Avinu, when he overcame the Malach. That was in his fight with the Malach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed him in the ladder, Malach Elokim Oilim v'Yordim Boy, Ata Kodesh, and Yaakov Avinu was miskasher himself to the Rebbeinu Shalom in such a way that all of the world goes through him. Says the Nefesh HaChaim in the Ma'amorim, in the back, says, I want to explain to you the Pashup Pshat, Nikadesh es Shimcha ba'olam. Kishem shemakdishim oisoi b'shmei moraim. What is the definition, the way we would normally learn? Nikadesh, let us give Kedusha. Kishem shemakdishim, the way they do it, right? We should mirror what they're doing. Das ist nicht the Pshat. That's not the Pshat. This is how we learn Pshat. And I can learn an Ashkenaz Nikadesh in a Nusach Sfarad place over here. Nagdishach v'naritzach, okay, kenoyam siach soy tzarfe. Listen to what he says. Ein hakavona shehem ba'atzma makdishim rishonim v'onu rotzim lehizdam islem kem shmakdishim. Don't think it's that they're being making kedusha, and we want to replicate and we want to duplicate what they're doing. Ach rotzoloimer, no. Be'oisoy rega. At that moment, sha'anu makdishim misoirer lehem koyach. When we do nikadesh eshimcha kishem, at that time, ba'oto rega, that time they say kedusha on top. As soon as we're saying kadosh, the whole world sings to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Then all of them together, ba'oto rega sha'anu mekachim misayrer lehem koyach. Koyach. We give them koyach from us. Umakdishim gamkein ke'echad. V'lezam keshem shemakdishim rotzulema berega hazois. L'chein anu imem halu kol malachov sha'anu noisnim rishus. We give them rishus to do it. If you understand this, the words of the Rambam in Hilchas Tshuva have a whole new practical and enlightening pshat. The Rambam in Hilchas Tshuva says that when Rosh Hashanah comes along, HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges the world, and probably the Olam remembers, and the whole world is nidain. We're all waiting, we're all have the opportunity to make a difference. Listen to what he says. Ava pishetchia shayfer beRosh Hashanah gzeres hakosov remez yesh boy. Kiloymar ur yishena mishenaschem. Wake up. Remember the Rabbeinu Shalom. Remember your neshama, your own power. Lefichach tzarech kol adam shira atzmai kol hashana kula kilu chetzav zakai v'chetzav chayiv. A person should see himself a whole year 50-50. V'chein kol ha'olam chetzav zakai v'chetzav chayiv. Chet echad hechriya atzmai ves kol ha'ulam lekaf chayva. Also mitzvah achas hechriya atzmai v'skola oilam kulay lekach schus v'garam lehem teshua v'atzola. The Rambam says, you do one thing wrong, God forbid, you're bringing the world in one direction. You do one thing right, you're fixing up the whole world. We ask ourselves, he's got to be kidding. Come on. Really? You? Me? You? One thing? The whole world? According to the Zera Shimshon Shiur, Chaim, yes. The whole world. Because a person is koil ilamis. Because that's our power. That's what you have inside of you. Maybe, the Rabbeinu Shalom wanted to give us a little message before Rosh Hashanah. You know what a person can do with his seichel? You know what a person can do? He could be sitting somewhere in Eretz Yisrael, push a button or two, and a bunch of beepers blow up. And
Not a beeper, don't worry.
You have to explain what beepers are so people may not even know.
they already saw. And a bunch of things blow up in one time. What's seichel enushi? Look how Kadosh Baruch Hu gave seichel to a person. The next day something else blows up. Look at you mean one person can do that? I mean, he has a couple of helpers, he had a few malachim, right, to place the things. But it was somebody figured out how to do it and did it. And the ganze Welt, Kerze Chibra, and the whole world turned upside down, right, because of one thing. If that's what a person can do in the Olam HaGashmi, you have to know what they can do in Olam HaRuchani is much bigger. Mekan Iber Keren Welten means you could turn over worlds. A person who conquers their own Yetzer Hara, who brings Kedusha to themselves in their own life, anywhere, when they don't say something else, when a person with his or her lips could have told somebody off and chose not to. Why? Because it's not the right thing to do and Hashem doesn't want me to do it. A person could have looked at something that he or she shouldn't have looked at and controlled themselves and didn't. They're conquering and fixing oilamos, worlds, because a malach can't do that. He doesn't have the struggle. He's much higher than us, but we're koilul kol ha'oilamos. The fact that our neshama comes from Yaakov Avinu, the Kisei HaKavod, and goes all the way down to this body that we're in, that itself has the strength. We are koilul all the chiyas of the world, and that's how a person is maile himself. So the Zera Shimshon, let's conclude, asks, so how are the malachim saying? So how does Tosfos learn pshat that the malachim are saying kedusha, but Klal Yisrael isn't saying kedusha? And if a person's all fregging, but what did the Zera Shimshon say? That Klal Yisrael says we're not saying, so maybe the malach can say, but if we're not saying, how can the malach say? If we're not saying, how can the teretz is, when Klal Yisrael on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur don't say Hallel, because Sifrei Chaim and Sifrei Mesim are Menachem Lefanov. When they say there's nothing more important than being Mamlech the Rabbeinu Shalom and making you king, and it's not about us, it's about you, That's the biggest kedusha and the biggest kvoid shamayim. And that's the biggest schus. People make a mistake and think that on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, on Rosh Hashanah for sure, they have to ask for, when am I going to ask for parnosa? When am I going to ask? Nothing in the davening has parnosa. So I'm not going to have parnosa? The Rebbe gives, Avinu Malkeinu came afterwards. Rav Haigoin put that in. It's not part of the davening. You know what the answer is? When you're mekusher to the Chei Ha'olamim, you have automatic parnasa. Making a mistake. You don't have to ask for parnasa. If a person gets chiyas from the Rabbeinu Shama, you're going to get everything. If a person is doing the right tiskala mitzvah, a person's doing the right thing, which is being mishabeach the Rabbeinu Shalom, in the sense he's blowing the shofar, he's saying the tefillos, he's doing whatever he has to do, which Chazal said, bitfilosam, you're supposed to do. He's being mamlech the Rabbeinu Shalom. If you're doing that, then you're connecting yourself to the Zera Shimshon Shiur. When you're connected to the Zera Shimshon Shiur, you have bonei, chaye, mezoine, alle gite Sachen. It's inappropriate to ask for anything. Chazal saw mentioned got bent out of shape. So they read, okay, Zochrei, Ravinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Parnusus. They added a couple of things already because I have to ask for something, right? No, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You connected to the Rabbeinu Shalom, you're connected to the Shirish Achiyas of the world, you'll get everything. Because you're at the Shirish Achiyas. That's where you're at. And the Davstam from them hosta outs. When the Malachim see the covet that Klal Yisrael gives to the Rabbeinu Shalom, that itself is an act of Kedusha. From that they can say Shira. They can say Shira by us not saying Shira. By us being so respectful and so understanding and so connected to the Rabbeinu Shalom, those is the siba why they say Shira. Mizal ala zoiches be'ezus Hashem Yisbarach kulanu ganz Klal Yisrael teksiva v'chasima toiva gut gesund yor be'ezus Hashem Yisbarach ashnas of geula v'yeshua b'mehera v'yameinu. Reb Chanan ben Akash